Alright, let's talk Brazil. Land of samba, sunshine, and beaches galore. A place where the rhythm of life is as vibrant as the colors of the carnival. But things weren't always so chill. Picture this, it's the year 1500, and some lost Portuguese sailors bump into what they think is an island. They were on a mission, navigating the vast and treacherous Atlantic Ocean, hoping to find new trade routes and lands. Oops, turns out it's a huge chunk of South America. Talk about a wrong turn. Imagine their surprise when they realized the enormity of their discovery. They called it Ilha de Vera Cruz, Island of the True Cross, which is a pretty dramatic name even for explorers. They were probably feeling quite triumphant, thinking they had found a new paradise. Surprise, surprise, Brazil was already home to people. Indigenous tribes had been living there for centuries, and weren't exactly thrilled about these pale Europeans showing up and claiming the place for their king. These tribes had rich cultures, languages, and traditions that were suddenly under threat. The Portuguese were looking for riches. They had dreams of gold and precious stones, hoping to make their fortunes and bring glory to their homeland. They found some, but not the mountains of gold they wanted. Instead, they found Brazil wood, a tree perfect for making red dye. This discovery was significant, as the dye was highly valued in Europe for its vibrant color. So, Brazil got its name from a tree. Fashion forward, right? The name stuck, and the country became known for this valuable resource. The meeting between the Portuguese and the indigenous people was, let's just say, not fair. The power dynamics were heavily skewed in favor of the Europeans. Diseases, displacement, and forced assimilation were the not-so-nice gifts from Europe. The indigenous population suffered greatly, with many losing their lives and their way of life. Not exactly a great cultural exchange, but hey, at least we got carnival out of it, right? This vibrant celebration is a testament to the resilience and creativity of the Brazilian people, blending influences from various cultures into something uniquely their own. So the Portuguese are in Brazil, but the gold is hiding. They had hoped to find vast riches, but the land wasn't giving up its treasures easily. What's a European power to do? They needed something valuable to justify their presence and investment: sugar. The climate was perfect for growing sugarcane, and sugar was worth more than gold back in Europe. It was a sweet solution to their economic woes. Problem was, growing sugarcane is hard work, and the Portuguese weren't into that. They needed a labor force to cultivate and harvest the crops. Solution? Bring in millions of Africans as slaves. This brutal system provided the labor they needed, but at an unimaginable human cost. Thus began a terrible chapter in history, with Brazil at the center. The transatlantic slave trade would leave a lasting scar on the nation. For centuries, sugar made the Brazilian economy go. It was the backbone of their colonial wealth. Portuguese planters got rich, Europe got its sugar fix, and millions of Africans were robbed of their freedom. The wealth was built on the backs of the enslaved. It's a shameful part of history that Brazil still deals with today. The legacy of slavery continues to affect Brazilian society. Running a huge colony with millions of enslaved people isn't easy. Revolts were common, as the enslaved fought for their freedom. The Portuguese king was always interfering, trying to maintain control from across the ocean. And then there were pirates. These seafaring thieves saw an opportunity to plunder the wealth being shipped back to Europe. Those guys wanted some of the sugar too. They added another layer of chaos to the already complex situation. The Portuguese had a lot on their plate. Managing a colony, dealing with revolts, royal decrees, and pirates was no small feat. But hey, at least they had pastel de nata to snack on, right? A small comfort in a turbulent time. By the 1800s, everyone wanted independence. The American colonies ditched the British, Napoleon was trying to take over Europe, and failing, and even the Portuguese king was having a bad time. Napoleon kept invading Portugal. It wasn't very nice. So, what did the Portuguese royal family do? They packed their bags and ran to Brazil. In 1808, Rio de Janeiro became the capital of the Portuguese Empire. Talk about a change of scenery. For Brazil, it was a taste of the good life. The colony became a kingdom, trade was easier, and Rio was the place to be. But like a house guest who stays too long, the royals went back to Portugal. Except they left Prince Pedro behind to rule Brazil. Pedro, being a bit of a rebel, decided he liked being the boss. So, in 1822, he declared Brazilian independence. He sent his dad a letter about it later. Section 4, From Empire to Republic, a Royal Pain. Brazil was independent with a new emperor, Pedro I. He was a charismatic leader who had big dreams for his new empire. He was the guy who didn't call his dad back. Imagine the family drama. But that wasn't the only drama I had to deal with. Being an emperor is tough, especially when you make a lot of enemies. Pedro I faced numerous conflicts and political disputes that made his reign quite challenging. Pedro I was like that friend who throws a party and then complains about the mess. He struggled to maintain control and keep everyone happy. He fought wars, wrote laws, and tried to rule like a boss. But his efforts often led to more problems than solutions. Problem was, Brazilians didn't want another king. They were tired of monarchy and yearned for a different kind of leadership. So, after some bad decisions, Pedro I quit and gave the job to his 5-year-old son, Pedro II. Yep, 5 years old. Imagine a toddler in charge of a country. Little Pedro couldn't rule a country, so Brazil had some teenage drama. The Regency period was marked by political instability and power struggles. Think political fights and more drama than a soap opera. The regents who ruled in Pedro II's name often clashed, leading to a tumultuous time. But hey, everyone makes mistakes. The important thing is to learn from them and move forward. Pedro II grew up and became a pretty good ruler. He was wise, compassionate, and dedicated to his country. He ended slavery, modernized the country, and even had a cool beard. His reign brought significant progress and development to Brazil. But even good emperors can't stop change. The world was evolving, and so was Brazil. In 1889, a peaceful coup sent Pedro II away, and Brazil became a republic. It marked the end of an era and the beginning of a new chapter. It was probably for the best, but having an emperor is a cool history lesson. The story of Brazil's transition from empire to republic is a fascinating journey through time. Section 5. Booms, busts, and coffee breaks. Republic or not, Brazil needed money. Luckily, they found things the world wanted. First, coffee, that magical bean that wakes us up. Brazil had the perfect place to grow coffee, and by the late 1800s they had tons of it. Coffee barons got rich sipping espresso while their bank accounts grew. Then came rubber. Remember when everyone wanted bicycles and cars? They needed rubber tires, and Brazil had the rubber trees. The Amazon rainforest boomed, with rubber barons making bank. But like all good times, the booms ended. Other countries started making coffee and rubber, prices dropped, and Brazil's economy took a hit. It was enough to make anyone want an extra cup of coffee or maybe a strong drink. Section 6, Dictators and Democrats, a century of change. The 1900s were a wild ride for everyone, including Brazil. They had political fights, military takeovers, and dictators who wore sunglasses inside. It wasn't good, but it was interesting. There was Getulio Vargas, a leader who ruled for a long time. He modernized the country but also acted like a dictator. Then came the military dictatorship in the 1960s, a time of censorship and bad fashion. But there was also hope. Brazilians fought for democracy, artists made rebellious art, and the spirit of resistance was strong. Finally, in the 1980s, democracy came back to Brazil. It wasn't perfect, but it was a fresh start. Section 7, Samba, Soccer, and the Future of a Giant. Here we are in the 2000s. Brazil has come a long way, overcoming slavery, dictators, and economic ups and downs. Today, Brazil is a world power, a land of great culture, beautiful places, and a love for life. They've hosted the World Cup twice, have amazing soccer players, and their music makes you want to dance. Of course, Brazil still has problems. Poverty, inequality, and corruption are tough issues, and the Amazon rainforest is in danger. But Brazilians are strong. They've faced hard times, and always come out stronger. So, here's to Brazil, a country that's amazing, inspiring, and sometimes confusing. They wouldn't have it any other way.